So first thing is I sent user access to Julie, Nicole, and Matthew. I just wanted to make sure, were you guys able to gain access to the document, or have you tried to get access to the document yet?
I have not tried.
Okay.
I haven't either, but I know that when Matt went through it yesterday, he was able to get in there.
Good. I mean, that's great. At least one of you they can help the other. It's not that difficult, but it does require that you create your own password and remember that password to get access to the document. Again, it's something that SullyMac owns, so you don't have to pay for the subscription. We're granting you access. You just have to create a user ID so it can acknowledge who you are, because I'm giving permissions to you people specifically. You will not be able to invite other people. If you want other people to be invited to the sheet, you need to tell me, and then I will give them access as well. So right now, Joe, you don't have access to the sheet because you didn't ask for access. If you wanted it, I would give it to you, but I don't really think you're going to be in there doing anything with it. But it's up to you. You just need to let me know. I will grant you access. Then you have to make a password and file an account with them, and you're off and running. No cost to you guys at all. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you. Oh, go ahead, Julie. You had a question?
No, just we are going to have other people added, so
yep.
I'll get you this. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure. When I sent you guys the invitation, I also had a little narrative in there as well. Just to let you know what the intent was. Just a little bit of an overview there. So hopefully you got that too, and it somewhat made sense to you, but that's kind of what I want to go over in this meeting as well. So let me just share my screen and then we'll get started. All right, so hopefully you're seeing my screen right now.
Yes.
So I'm on vacation next week, unfortunately. So I won't be able to field questions, but I work with Tim White, who is part of our doc control. And he was one of the people that I had as a point to contact if there was any questions or issues with this sheet. All right, so just going through it quickly. This is what Tony uses, or I should say he uses something similar to this when he is planning his routes. Now, Julie, I know you do a lot of billing with this now, so some of this is going to look a little familiar to you, but what Tony sends you is really an export. So he's sending you a PDF of his sheet. So some of this stuff is what he's using, and some of it is new because of this new process. One of the things that we added to this is this order number. So this order number is a unique identifier to each one of these particular call it deliveries, right? I didn't have that in there before, but we found that it's probably going to be beneficial for us just for defining things if we need to get specifics. Like a lot of these things will have this similar dock place. One Lincoln is a common one. Mass General is a common one. So, I mean, some of these things, even job numbers, they're not really good unique identifiers. The best thing for us to do is have something very specific. So we added that to the sheet. So that's new for us now. Whether you guys use that, to help, it doesn't really matter to us. It's just letting you know that's a new thing. Some of these items are not for you at all. It's really for Tony. Tony uses these to let himself know when he's done with something, and it will leave his desktop. So basically, the only things that stay in the sheet are active things or things that are not complete. When Tony deems them complete, they go away. They leave the sheet. So generally speaking, Tony's gonna plan his trips for the next day, and once they get delivered, he will check the done box and they will go away. One feature that's changing with this integration with Graybar as being part of this is we're looking for information to come back to the sheet entered by Graybar people. And I'm not going to let Tony archive anything until that information is complete. So Tony will check his box, but it won't go away until the information that we're looking for Graybar to complete is entered into the sheet. Then it will go away. It'll go gray, letting Tony know that it's not an active delivery, that it's not something that we're looking for the following day. That, with the date that's in here too, will let all parties know that that is something that's in the past. So generally speaking, if you go into the sheet and you see a check mark here and you see cells that are gray, that's not something we're interested in going forward. That's something that needs information from Graybar to be able to move along. Tony has another box in here marked as late. That's something that we use to try to help us understand, you know, how we're doing with making up these times. You know, something that management wants us to do. So that's what we're doing. It really has nothing to do with you guys, but it's in this sheet that you have access to, and that's what it means. The date, that's important for you guys. That's where Tony's looking for you to make those deliveries. And generally speaking, it's going to be in the future. It's going to be the date for tomorrow. Anything with a past date, again, you shouldn't be worried about. This is just listing you as the contractor that's working, that's doing this. The job number, this is something that's important for us. Pickup location and drop-off location. This is something that's somewhat new too. Ultimately, you know, most of the locations that we have you guys pick up for us are at 180 Campanelli, you know, so we never really put that information in there. But now we have 6 Erickson, which is a warehouse 2 that we're looking for pickups from. You know, that could be a pickup spot. We could also be entering a job location in that spot as well, if we're looking for you to pick up something that's in the field and return it back to 180 Campanelli Street. So that could be another one that happens. We also need a means to ask for an additional truck for pickups. So it could be, if we're just looking for a pickup at 180 that's going to go back to you, you know, because we talked about Joe, you know, there's 1 truck a day, but if we need another one, we need a means of asking for that other truck to come pick up things. So that's how we're going to do that going forward too. If Tony needs another truck, it's going to be written in there like that, you know, so it's coming from 180 and it's going to you. And there's other ways to indicate that as well. I'm going to go to those as we go down the sheet. So that's a new one: pickup location, drop-off location. Foreman name, foreman phone number. This is just contact information that we usually have. The required delivery time. This is very much the way it normally is. The indication here of red, that indicates something that's beyond the normal time. So we just indicated that way. If that's just stands out to let everyone know that it's beyond our negotiated normal business hours. So this next section here is where Tony lets you guys know what we're going to be sending. And that's a very common one. Tony uses that right now. Notes, Tony has always had this in here as well. Just another further notifications for what's expected here. Anything that's not going to give you the information here is going to be in here. And this next section is brand new for Tony. So this is how the costs get calculated. So these different check boxes are determining specifically those fields that we negotiated, Joe, to tell what the cost should be. Depending on what checkbox gets checked, will determine what the value at the end is over here. So you can see that a regular delivery is checked. If I uncheck these boxes here, you see that goes down to $100, and that's what we determined was the regular delivery. That's what the regular delivery cost is. There may not be many occasions when multiple boxes will be checked here, but we just need the ability to check any box for any of these fields to make these numbers generate correctly. You can see this one here is one that's identified additional stops to the same address. So if we went back to this one, we can notice that there's 4 stops to 1 Lincoln Street. Generally speaking, we'd pay for the one, but since it's the same dock, and the only reason we're splitting them up is because they're different foremen that are going to have access to those different products. We checked one box for the original delivery and then the regular delivery, and the other boxes were checked for the additional stops to the same address, and they're zeroed out over here. The next one is dedicated box truck 1. So, part of what we had talked about too was if we're going to have a dedicated truck, we had the agreement set up so that we could have a truck for an 8-hour period, and we could have that for a value. So that value is determined here is $350. If I was to make an additional stop with that truck, I would check this box here. And you can see if I untag that one and tag this one here, there's a 0 value here because we're saying that the additional stop for the one dedicated truck is all inclusive of the $350. Part of the negotiation said that you could have up to 2 dedicated trucks per day. So again, this is dedicated box truck 2 and the additional stop for that dedicated box. So again, Tony would tick the amount of boxes necessary to indicate what he was looking to do, and then the cost would pop on the other end over here. We did the same thing with the dedicated trailer, although I don't know if we're going to be using it all that much, and it works the same way. The way it was in our agreement was it was only going to be 1, and I don't know if it was even more than 1 per week. It might have been only 1 per week and 1 per day. So, Tony's aware of that agreement, and we'd only use it as it was defined in the contract. Dedicated flatbeds in here too, and that's part of the pricing. Dedicated Moffett, flatbed with a Moffett, that's the same pricing in there. And that really kind of defines the pricing. That's all the pricing that's inside here. Depending on what Tony checks, we'll be telling you what we're looking to do, and we'll be costing it. So you guys don't have to provide any pricing. I'd just be looking for you to validate it. So once you understand what Tony's looking for, and you look at the end and it shows the pricing, you're in agreement with that, And if you're not in agreement with that, then you need to let Tony know. It's like, hey, Tony, you can't really do it that way. That's not the way it was intended, or whatever. That's not the way it's going to go. And then we would, change the check mark or do something different or whatever it is. But hopefully it wouldn't come to that. It would just be, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. These, let's see, job return. Actually, that doesn't end it. This job return is an additional charge here. I'm sorry. Some of these are more costs. So a job return is a specific cost. I think it was like $250. So if that one's checked, yep, that one's checked, and that one's checked. It's $200. So $200 for a job return. If it was a delivery and a job return, regular delivery and a job return on the same, then it goes to $300. So that's you taking the truck with material to a job site and then returning it back to Stoughton. And that's on the same truck. Outside defined area, again, if notice that the trip is outside the defined area, that would get a check mark, and then that would go up again, depending on what's associated with. Outside defined hours, that was another charge for that too, and that's all built in. If Tony knows it's outside defined hours, then he'll check that box too. And then there was more than 4 before 9 a.m. If we have a 5th one, Tony would check that box, and that would add another adder into it. So a lot of this is on Tony to kind of define what he's trying to do. I don't think it's going to be overcomplicated for him to figure this stuff out. I know there's a lot of different variables in here, but it's the only way that we could, define these values without having to ask you to put them in there for us. And it gives us immediate understanding of what the cost is of these trips. So these last two columns that are in blue right now, these are the ones we're asking for your help with. So there's the drop-off time and there's the driver name. Now, the driver name is the one that we're looking for before the end of this day. I'm saying this day is the day of the request. So generally, there's going to be a day of the request, and the next day is going to be the day of the delivery. Tony's going to be asking for all his deliveries the day before, typically before noon. He's going to put his requests in, and then it's going to go to you. And what Tony's asking for is before 6 a.m., the driver name is populated here. And that way, if he has any issues, he knows the driver name. Do you need to give him the contact information? No. It's really no more than the name. With the name in those fields, Tony will be able to see which deliveries are associated with the driver. If you have multiple stops going to the same location with a driver, Tony will know that. If the driver is dropped off at one location, Tony will know that, and then he'll know that they're heading to a different direction. So it just gives Tony the easiest way to identify, you know, what's going on without fielding information from or questions from the field and not having anything. I know we had talked about that a few times with manifest and stuff like that, Joe, you know, but if you can make that happen for us, that will happen. That'll be helpful for us, you know, and it just needs to be done by 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's the one. I know we had a lot of conversation. I think that's the one that we said we couldn't, because we won't know it today. They won't know it until the morning, and it's just such a manual process of going in and making sure that we have someone. I think that's what we talked about in the last meeting, of providing that driver name, even the truck number, it would be the same type of deal. That's one that we were definitely struggling with. I thought we discussed that in the last.
We did talk about it, but I don't know if we ever got to a conclusion. It was like we were working on it, we were looking into it or whatever, and I never really got to the bottom of what it was, but that was the original request, Joe, so I have it on here. If you're still struggling with it or whatever, we can continue to go down the road and try to find a way to get there, but that's one of the asks. It's still a value to us, so I still have it up there. You know, we'll have to keep going down the road and see if we can't find something to kind of pull this together. You know, the hope is that, you know, if you know, if there's a driver that's driving the truck, that he knows that he's taking our material to a job site, and hopefully that's happening before 6 o'clock. So I don't know how we connect those dots, you know, but I'm hoping we can find a way. It would make things a lot easier for us.
Yeah. I'll check back. I know I think the last time we left it, we said the best way to do it would be going through Kelson in our facility, because if we need to reroute something for an emergency, he has the ability to do it where the driver wouldn't. The driver is sticking to his path, and I think that's what we mentioned. But I can revisit it again. But I thought that one was kind of a closed issue. The drop off time. So the last time we met too, we had the PDFs of the documents that we sent over, and I think you were hopeful that you could take that information from emails that we were sending and populate it into this sheet automatically, so that no one would have to.
That's possible. I don't know if we have access to those documents or that's been shared with us at this point, Joe.
Okay.
But if that is a process that we could use to get that to go in here, if I had it on a regular basis, I might be able to pull that from email and find a way to get that in there. I'm willing to go down that road, but that's why this is in here too. It's just so that we can have that in there and have that information locked in with each of these things. And again, it's easier for us to be able to confirm, you know, what's going on, and if we ever have to go back here, it's locked specifically in here. You know, navigating afterwards back to invoicing to find these things out, or going to some portal to go find information out later, it just makes it difficult to kind of associate with the individual deliveries. If we have it all in one place, it just makes it a lot easier for us to find. So if you have it and you can get it to me, that's great. You know, if there's another way, that's fine too. It doesn't matter to me how it gets on here, as long as there's a way.
Okay.
right.
And then just one other thing, I think one of the categories, so you have a dedicated trailer and flatbed.
I have dedicated box truck and I have dedicated trailer.
Right. So we have an area for just delivery by trailer or delivery by flatbed on the contract. I don't see that here. So it's not a whole dedicated day, but if you guys need a flatbed delivery,
I thought it was in there as an 8-hour period. Am I wrong about that, Joe?
so you have dedicated trailers and flatbeds exclusive for 8 hours. That's the maximum, one per day, one time per week.
Yep.
And then there's another, just a delivery by trailer or flatbed with a Moffett adder on it. If you just need a delivery made to a job site, we're not going to charge you the whole 8 hours for it. It's
Okay, so that's a fee per trip. Is that what you're saying?
right. If we have to be somewhere at whatever 9 o'clock with our flatbed, whatever it might be,
Right.
you don't have to mortgage it for the whole day from us. We'll do just the one trip.
And I get that, and I think that's the way it's costed in here. So again, if this is additional stops I have here for the trailers as part of the contract, but the dedicated flatbed or dedicated flatbed with Moffett, that's just a fee. So if I click it, that's $600, and if I click this one, it's $500. But it's not like there's a way to get a no cost for any other period in here, if that makes sense to you. If Tony ticks that box, that's a flat cost, wherever it is, right? So it doesn't matter to you if he's, as long as it's meeting your criteria of where you deliver to, if that's the value of that delivery, right?
Yeah, it's priced differently to you. So one's 500 and one's 700. The whole day. The whole day is 700. If it's just one delivery, it's 500 plus an adder if there's the Moffett that's required.
Oh, are you saying that a flatbed and the trailer? Again, sometimes I get confused with the different vehicles. And when I think of a flatbed, I'm thinking of a 24-foot flatbed truck, not a trailer. Do you guys have 48 to 53-foot trailers, open trailers, I guess?
We have trailers. We have 24-foot flatbeds, but we use our flatbeds. We don't just put them into the same mix of our box trucks. Those are exclusive use. They need to be signed out. So we value them differently. So we value them differently on this. We put that with the trailers.
Okay, just making sure I'm clear on it too, though. It's a $500 cost to use a trailer for delivery.
A trailer or a flatbed.
I'm sorry, flatbed. Just a flatbed, right?
Anything but a box truck, a standard box truck would be falling in that $500. Yep.
Yeah. So I think I get the trailer thing covered in here. The 48 to 53-foot trailer, and maybe I should add that verbiage in here as well, just so that it's clearer. But I'll ask Tony. Tony, do you understand the difference between the verbiage of trailer and flatbed?
I do.
So I guess as long as we're on the same page, and I can do that, Joe. I can add it in here so there's no question that if Tony's looking for a 48 to 53-foot trailer, it's costed that way, and if he's looking for a flatbed or a flatbed with a Moffett, we're getting the right truck and we're getting the right costing the other way.
Yeah, however you guys want to do. I just saw a lot of dedicated, and we also offer the just standard delivery on one of those two at a different price than a standard box truck or a dedicated. So it just seemed like it might fit into a different spot than what's on the sheet.
Yeah, maybe the use of dedicated is not accurate. We can change that on the dedicated for these two items here. So yeah, I could just pull dedicated right off of there. Go ahead, Tony.
So I'm looking at the contract now, and I have a couple of questions. So if I wanted to use a 24-foot box truck, full truckload, to go to one stop, and that's it. Say it's a full truck going to 1 Lincoln Street. Is it still $100 or is it going to be? I'm reading the contract and it says deliveries for a 24-foot box truck, $100 per stop. So if that's, am I reading that right? That if it's a full truckload going to a stop, it's $100?
Yeah, it does, but I mean, there's still you still have to pick things up at Stoughton and bring them
No,
to
I'm just saying.
Graybar. So I mean, if it's outside of that, that would be a different truck, right? That would be a dedicated truck.
Right. Well, they have dedicated trucks. It says exclusive use for 8 hours. That's like say the 2 trippers to Mass General. I think that's the exclusive truck. But if I'm using a box truck, say I want to load it tonight, it's going straight to one Lincoln. It's getting there tomorrow, and that's the only stop I have for it. Is that still $100?
I don't believe it is. I mean, Joe, how do you perceive that?
Yeah, I guess we didn't specify that because technically that would be a dedicated delivery truck.
Not for 8 hours, though. Based on the contract, dedicated, it says exclusive use for 8 hours. This is probably a 2-hour delivery.
But let me put it a different way then, Tony. I'd say yes, it is $100 if that's the only stop you're making for the day. So if Graybar is going to come to our shop at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and load their truck up with one stop and go back to their facility and unload it, put it on their dock, and then put it back on another truck or however they want to do it, and then just make one delivery to one stop. I mean, to me, that's part of the process that we're in. We're paying them for picking up their weekly cost for picking up at our facility, however much will fit into the one truck, and then it can go to several locations or one location. That's how I look at it. Doesn't really matter.
I would see the cost for picking it up being $135 because that would be an additional truck over and above the miscellaneous. So I'd see the $135 for the pickup, but delivery charge to the job site should still only be $100 if I'm hearing that right. And the only reason why I ask is because I'm hearing that it's $600 to use the Moffett truck for one stop, for one delivery, for one 1 hour period, a 2 hour period.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the way it is. So I mean, Joe I don't know how you're interpreting what. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Should we have priced it differently? I don't know. The way that it's written now that I look at it, Tony, you could give us 10 full truckloads. That meets your 10 deliveries per day. And I guess that would be $100 each. That would cripple us, though, in full honesty, too, if you took 10 full truckloads as 10 deliveries.
But so, we'd also have to pay you for a bunch of additional trucks to be picking up at our facility, right? Because I mean, we only get one truck to pick up at the facility, so we'd have to say, all right, I need 9 additional trucks to pick up all the volume of material to get back to your facility, right? I don't know exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think that helps kind of manage that stuff a little bit. And I was going for Joe is like, sure, if Tony had to make only one stop for the whole day, and you were picking up from us one, like you normally do, fill up the truck, it may go into however many trucks it needs to do to get out to make the deliveries. That's up to you to decide how you're going to get there. Tony might want one stop, with all the stuff, but however it works for you to make it to that one dock, that's, but anything else would be, an additional pickup on our part to get into your system.
Joe, I wouldn't request 10 full.
I know. I'm just putting that out there.
I wouldn't request 10 full trucks. You know what I'm saying?
I know. And I think the flatbed, I had this conversation with Sean Mellett as well. The way that we look at our flatbed, I know it seems like it's more expensive. It gives us a lot of different varieties of what we can deliver, how we can deliver, what job sites we can deliver to, how we can unload it. So we look at that value differently than just the box truck. Okay. Even if it's only a 24-foot flatbed, we can do a lot of different variables with that truck that we can't do with a standard box truck.
Okay.
To confirm, that's a flatbed rack body, correct? Or is it true flatbed?
No, it's a flatbed, not a rack body.
Gotcha.
No, like I said, I know a lot of times I ask for a separate truck, and a lot of times it's a full truckload going to one stop. I just want to make sure I'm not getting charged like $700 for that one stop. You know what I mean?
No, I think Sean, you made the right point. We're probably capturing that additional cost in the additional trucks we need to pick up from Stoughton. So if you need a full truck, we probably still need another truck. So that delivery, if you had the 135 and the 100, it's really 230, right?
Right. Which makes sense. I just want to make sure we're not falling into the $700,
No.
dedicated truck type, 350 type. You know what I mean?
No.
This is part of the reasoning for the costing too, to keep us on the same page, Joe. So you guys can kind of see real time and have the ability to stop things in the process if they're not going the direction that you're thinking is fair, and then Tony can have a better sense of cost too, because he's conscious of those things too. Not that I want to obsess over this. I just want everybody to be on the same page and be able to vocalize that and ask questions before, moving forward. To that note too is, just for you guys, inside this document, if you're in here, you can see there's a paperclip over here on the right-hand margin. If you click that and you see there's attachments, there's 3 different selections: row, sheet, and all. The sheet one contains the exhibit that we attached and the agreement. So if anyone needs to reference that, it's right in this document too, for the sake of argument. I can just click on this and it just opens, and you can scroll down to the bottom, and that's what we have here to discuss. Okay. Oh,
Joe, you also
moving forward. Go ahead. Sorry.
Joe, you had talked about restarting your night crew too.
24 hours.
Well, so
I thought it was extending the hours. I didn't think it was a full shift. It was just extending hours or something.
4-hour shift, but I mean, you guys are you said you were probably coming in earlier than you were to accommodate the 6 a.m.s and the 5:30s as needed, right?
Yeah, I think we've seen a much better hit rate on those early AMs. I'm not sure what you've seen on your site. So we have made some adjustments to when people are coming into the facility to get those trucks out, especially downtown, the downtown Boston area, to beat traffic to get down there sooner.
So case in point, I have a delivery that the guy is looking for this upcoming Monday for 5 a.m. In Boston. From what I understand, mine's probably about a half a load, and I guess one of your sales guys has material going there as well. I talked to Kelson earlier just to see if it was possible, and he was very reluctant to say yes for a 5 a.m. delivery because he can't guarantee, because they, people come in at 2, but the drivers don't start till 3:30. Then they got to load the truck. So I said, is there any way to kind of, as a one-off, maybe make a provision for it? And he goes, I don't want to really commit to it, which I get. He doesn't want to commit to it if it's not part of the process. But, would the 5 a.m. delivery, even though it falls outside the range of what we're talking about, I mean, physically, is it possible going forward? Because it's just stuff we're going to need to know to let our guys in the field know.
What job site is it?
350 Boylston Street. It's a new one.
350 Boylston.
It's a tell data job, so I think you guys have material going there too.
Okay. All right. We can make a call. I mean, that's one where I think we talked a lot about communication in those couple of meetings. That's one. If you guys are really hard pressed, let me make a call to Ed Bratton.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know Thursday. So I mean, we have a full 24-hour notice before we have to load the truck. Versus, I know it's a weekend, but it's still a few days away as far as the delivery. But as soon as I found out this morning, I made the call to Kelson. So, like I said, he was just apprehensive, which I understand completely, because he doesn't want to, make the call unless he absolutely can. So I was hoping that maybe after this call, you could touch base with someone down there just to kind of put our mind at ease, so I can let my guy know one way or the other.
Yeah. Is it dead set 5 a.m.?
It sounds like it. I think they're trying to get in there before the building opens, I guess, or maybe before foot traffic starts coming in.
Okay.
Like I said, you guys have stuff going there too, so your salesman probably got the same request.
Okay. All right. We'll look into that. We'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Meaning multiple contractors, correct, Tony?
No, same. It's the same. It's the same job, same guy, Steve Clasby. It's just, I think
Okay,
Graybar material for that Tell Data project.
wasn't sure if it was like a Gaston or a
No.
Jana Brown, other sub players.
No, I wouldn't have that information on other contractors.
Okay. Again, this is kind of a new process, so I'm sure there's going to be some questions as things go along, and being able to get at least some validation from Graybar, or at least them looking at the pricing and making sure that it seems in line with what our agreement was, would be helpful. Not to get too crazy here, Joe. Just until we're all comfortable with what these things mean. If there's any change that needs to be made, or notations that need to go in there, or realignment, you just got to let me know, and I can make those provisions. I believe things are correct the way they're in here. I think we'll find these things out as we move forward. So the next thing is, the means of getting this information to you. Right now, we've set up an alert structure for the 3 people that have been included, Julie, Nicole, and Matthew. And like I said, we can expand this to whoever you want the alerts to go to. But basically, what the automation says is that every day at 12 o'clock, if there are any deliveries that need to be made for tomorrow, an alert will go out and bring you to the sheet. It'll say, look at the sheet, there's deliveries that are expected for tomorrow. It's just going to be that simple. It may be a summary of the information, but there'll be a link in there that will take you to the sheet, and this will open up whatever's in here. And you may see things that are very much like what's here now. If they're white, they'll typically mean it's for the following day. This is not the following day, because this is old archive data that we were just playing with to show you what it would look like. But generally speaking, Tony will have cleared anything for the following day that's done. So all you would see would be things that were in the future. Now, Tony's typical thing right now is to send an export. I'm saying that Tony won't be sending an export anymore. It's just going to be automatic. By noon every day, if there's new things on the sheet, they're just going to go to you, and you're going to get them. You're going to get an alert to look at the sheet. And what's Tony's indication going to be that you're validating the order, that you got these things? I don't really have anything here. Without you doing something on the sheet, there's no way for Tony to know that you're actually looking at it. You know what I mean?
So we can, when we process these, we get 2 things. We get a sales in order number, pretty much, and we also get a delivery number. And I think the delivery number was what we had mentioned of providing as something, but that's when we're also talking about being able to give you the manifests. I mean, as a check, we could go in there and put in the delivery numbers if that would help. So if you go in, there's a delivery number sitting there, you can have confidence that is sitting with our Taunton facility to be delivered the next day. And it could be another reference point if Tony, you're talking to Kelson, right? You can point to that number. That's helpful in his system, because then that can track where it is, what truck it is currently on, or whatever it might be too.
Okay.
That's something that we can do same day. Like, you send this to us at noontime, we can put that in that afternoon. We're writing it down anyways. We can just put it in here as a place.
Okay. So I have a question too. As far as the at the very end of the sheet there, one of the things was the delivery time. Oh, the drop-off time. I know your drivers take pictures when they deliver, and they upload it to something. Is there a way to attach my email address to that, so that I get an alert saying, hey, they just delivered to 255 Charles Street, they just delivered to 17 whatever, in real time?
Yeah, that's when we met the last time, we had those sheets, the PDFs, and included I think the driver name was on there, had the delivery number, had the location, had what it was, and had the time We do it at the time the job is closed out. So we might get to a job, use your 5 a.m. We might get to the job at 5 a.m. It might show a closed out time of 5:25 because it took 25 minutes to whatever. But if those are the sheets showing, that's what we were talking about earlier in this call. Tony, if you want me to set those up for you, you'll get live updates of that delivery once it's completed. I think we can do a couple things, but we can definitely do once it is completed, and we can do it as a test. If it works, great. You get notified, and then Sean, if you can take those and you can put those into the sheet, and I think that covers that whole column. And Tony gives you a bit of confidence on when it's getting there, that it is completed, all that.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial on my end. So, like I said, if I have to go back and look for something, I don't want to have to bother someone 3 months later and say, hey, you know, this guy's looking for X, Y, and Z. Do you know if it got delivered? I could just go back through I can filter for my emails, look for the day, and I could probably pull it up pretty yickety split. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, especially if we're inputting the delivery number, somehow that will be tied into that notification too. So it'll probably be easiest for you.
Correct. Yeah. So like I said, if I get alerts or an email, and I can just click it open and show the material that got delivered. At least if the guy calls and said, "Hey, I'm missing a box," I can pop it open real quick, take a look at it, and say, "Well, these are the 4 boxes that he took a picture of. You said you only got 3. Maybe you talk to one of your kids and see if they put it someplace else."
Yeah.
You know, I think that would work
Okay.
pretty on my end.
Okay.
Well, again, you know, if you can get me a copy of what that is, Joe, or me attached to it, we can.
Yeah, if you can copy,
we can see about pulling that information directly into the sheet, and like you said, it should satisfy everything. It's just really getting started on that process.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've added that number, the delivery number, in here. So hopefully, you know, that will be again something that you guys can fill out. Maybe we'll say that these other ones, driver name and the drop off time. We'll grow into those ones and try to find a way to fill those things in for now. But then, as long as you can acknowledge I can use this as feedback to Tony that they got the request and it's being processed. However, you guys have to do it. What's not on the sheet is the daily pickup that we're already taking care of on the front side of this, right? Those costs aren't really built into the sheet. This is really more of the outgoing things, not the incoming stuff that's coming from us going to you in the Taunton. So that's going to be a normal thing. And my assumption is that you're going to be using a daily pickup from them with one truck anyway. Is that what we're saying, Tony? It's like every day we're expecting a truck, unless we're asking for an additional truck.
Unless I ask for an extra truck, I'm expecting just the one, right?
Right. So that's just going to be a normal thing. It's not going to be shown on the sheet. The only thing that's shown on the sheet is the outgoing stuff and any additional trucks that would be requesting for Tony to take. All right. So again, because Tony is not going to be sending this as an attachment, and I know that Julie uses these sheets for billing, just to kind of keep everything on the same page there. You'll need to pull your own copy off of here to attach or whatever you want to do with it. Now, because this is so big, you can print a copy. There's a little print field up there. Let's see. If you do the print, you can set it up however you want. But if you're going into this drop down, you really just have to tick a couple of boxes here so it formats correctly. And I'm suggesting you go with the fit the page because it's so big, and it's the entire sheet. You can do 8.5 by 11, or you can do a larger size if you want. I think most about you guys are keeping these things electronic, so maybe it doesn't matter so much. It's just that, once it prints to an 8.5 by 11, it's microscopic. You can barely read the text if you want to. You can scale into it if electronically, if it's transmitted that way. So maybe it doesn't matter too much to you. but you'll see it when it does populate. See if I can just show you one. That's kind of what it looks like, and maybe that's enough. Again, you can zoom in and see the detail very clearly. But if you were to be like Tony and print this thing out, you have no idea what the hell it said. We do have another means of making this a little bit more legible for those in the paper world, if that's valuable to you. But if this works for you, then again, that ticks another box, and I'm all set. So you just have to let us know if this isn't working for you, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
So,
Tony, so you're not sending anything to Taunton at all anymore, right?
No, she's going to get the alert at 12 o'clock that the sheet's ready to go.
All right. So Sean, we definitely need to add a couple names for our Taunton facility, to have access to it, so that they know what they have. So we'll send you those names. And then the dedicated trucks, Tony, would you keep track of those, or do you want us to, like it's 2 trucks per day, twice a week, or whatever it is? You'll be following whatever it is, with the limits and all that type of stuff, right?
As far as what do you mean?
Well, it's no
Like,
more than 2 per day, 2 per week. That's all we have. So you could theoretically, by the sheet, you could order, 2 on a day, but you could do it every single day. There'd be no limitation. You would have to keep track of that so that you're not going over. Is that correct, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we can do it too. I just didn't know. If we see something come over, if it's multiple, whatever, and if we can keep an eye on it. I just didn't know if you guys had that mechanism in there. But it sounds like
I don't have a way to prohibit Tony from doing it every single day. I only prohibit him no more than, I only have 2 options here for trucks, so he can't choose more than 2 dedicated trucks in a day period. But nothing will prevent him from doing it repetitively day after day. So I'd say if you guys can keep track of it too and keep Tony honest, that'd be the best way to go.
He's good. We trust him. And Tony, I had a question for you too. We talked a lot about returns to Stoughton during the day.
Yep.
If we were going to be late, letting you know by noon, is that happening? No.
Well, I shouldn't say it. It doesn't happen all the time. Bob Hardy's pretty good because he's usually a late guy. So he's called me a couple of times, but for the most part, it hasn't happened. But I want to say there's only been 1 or 2 occasions since we had the meeting that we had stuff that didn't make it back. So it really hasn't been that frequent that stuff hasn't made it back. But I've only gotten a call maybe once, maybe twice from Bob saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be there till 3:30. What do you want to do?" Give me the option type.
Okay.
So getting back to, just so I heard this right, because I didn't read through the whole contract. I was just looking at the rates. Are you saying that we have 1 dedicated truck every day, and that I only have the option of max 2 days a week to ask for a second truck?
What are you talking about? Are you talking about pickups?
Dedicated.
For pickups, yeah.
No, not for pickups. Pickups, you can ask for as many trucks as you want. He's just talking about dedicated trucks to go to facilities. So if you're going to Mass General and you get a full load of prefab, he's saying that we can do 2 trucks, and we can do, we're figuring we can do 2 drop-offs, right, per day.
And dedicated for the whole
2 stops. Yeah, you're dedicated for the whole 8 hours, but you can only do that twice a week.
That's fine. I just want to make sure I heard it right.
Yep.
I have a question. Sean, I know you're just showing us how to print the sheet and stuff. So when we get the sheet from Tony, we send it down to what we call Connexium. It's an automated, it's all mapped out, and they create the orders for us. And then we have to finish them. If we need to adjust this sheet to print out, are we able to do that on our own? Like if we have to shrink columns and stuff, or will that mess you guys up? Or should I, at the time when we're ready to do this, should I go to Tony or you, or?
Julie, if you can tell me what columns are important for you, what I can do is I can create a report that is a mirror image of the sheet. It's just a filtered view. And I can share that with you so you have a print file that will show only the columns that you need and give you a better viewing, if that makes sense.
Yep,
So
okay,
just tell me if you want to print it out and you want to strike through any columns that you don't want and send it back to me. I will then create that report and share it with you so you can see what it looks like and see what it prints like and see that it mirrors exactly this sheet. Okay?
okay. And then if there is any discrepancy on the delivery cost, I go to Tony, correct? I see any.
Yeah, Tony is the primary contact for any discrepancies with the order.
Yeah, if you for some reason, if you find something either I didn't put on the list that they got received down there or vice versa, you can absolutely call me. And that was one of the things I was going to ask is, I know in the past, if for some reason I forget to put something on the sheet, but it got on the truck or vice versa, it sometimes would be left behind and there wouldn't be a sheet created because it wasn't on the sheet, which I think can be alleviated by having somebody call me when they're doing the receiving and say, hey, I see 2 boxes going on 1 Lincoln Street, but you don't have anything on your sheet. Do you want this to go out? Was this a mistake? I can kind of nip it in the bud at the receiving stage for you guys at that time if there is a mistake. I don't know if that's something that you guys are hesitant to have your receiver call me when that happens, or you guys, I don't know how you guys want to handle it in that regard. You know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah. So we drop. I don't know how much we need to get into our internal stuff. You send the sheet, we drop that to Taunton. Taunton should be receiving in what we put on that sheet. If there's something that is a discrepancy, they should be come to us almost automatically saying, hey, you said there's 2 boxes. We actually have 3. Do you need to adjust? Because they cannot actually physically receive it into the system if we don't adjust our numbers. So I'll have that conversation with Taunton that they need to come to us first on anything that's a discrepancy. They should be doing that already, but if they're not, we can do that. And if we need you guys to adjust your sheet from there, we can come back to you and have that conversation. But we'll let us try and handle it first internally on our side. And we'll only come to you with stuff that we feel confident on that needs an adjustment to the sheet.
Okay. I just don't want to see something get left behind that could have been solved. You know,
we shouldn't leave, and I'll be part of the conversation. We should not leave anything behind. If it needs to be added, great, we can add it through the process, but still make sure it gets on the truck for delivery for you. Right. You guys shouldn't be impacted. So,
like I say, these are half dozen times a year or something like that. It happens, but just want to have something in place in case it does.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions about how the sheet works or what the expectations are? At this point, I guess, Joe, I'm just looking to see, if I can get access to those documents that you were talking about. And, we're just going to live with, no entries on these 2 columns, drop off time and driver name, until we can kind of resolve our process going forward. But again, we're going to be looking for the delivery number to be entered so that Tony knows that you're acknowledging that stuff. Right. Go ahead, Tony.
If I could be set up on the alert when the guy makes the delivery, I think down the road that'll be beneficial to all of us. There'll be one less phone call I have to make to your guy to try to hunt something down from 3 months ago that could have been, should have been. You know what I mean?
What email address do you want that to, Tony?
Let's go to warehouse 180 at sullymac.com.
Okay.
The last one I have, Joe, is the initiation of this. I mean, is Monday too soon for us to be input? I mean, I'd like to get this. I mean, we've signed the contract. We're good to go here. I just like to peel off the Band-Aid here and get going on it. So if you have some more people you want to bring into the loop here and you're not comfortable starting on Monday, then you just got to let me know what day we're actually going to start this and give me the addresses for those people so that we can stay on the same page.
I can give you the addresses. We need to get Taunton up to speed on it because I think they're used to seeing the sheet come over. So I'll get you those email addresses. Julie, are you able to get Sean the fields that you need for Connexium? Maybe we can send a former. So we use Connexium. It's a third party. We send it out and they map the image that you guys used to send, and it automatically does a data dump. So we don't have to do every keystroke. So we had it mapped on what you were sending to us previously. So we just need almost it put back into those fields, first column, second column, third column. So we can send you a copy of that, Sean, just so you can see it. If you can build it like that, hopefully Connexium just streamlines it and we're good. We can try and figure that over the next couple of days. Now, Julie, Nicole, Matt, are you guys good if we say let's start it Monday? Or do you think we need more time?
Yeah, the only thing, so, if we send you what, Tony sends us every day, that mapping, will I still be able to see everything else, or are those columns gonna be gone from it? I wanna see the delivery cost, so I can match it to my report, and I know I do it correctly every month, so it'd be nice to match it. So if you map it to the way Tony sends it over to us every day, when I go into the SmartSheet, am I gonna be able to still see all the columns? Am I making sense?
I'm having a little difficulty hearing you, Julie, but I mean, you have access to this sheet, so you're going to see everything that's on this sheet. I'm not really sure about the Connexium information, the rows that, is there additional rows that you want me to put on here, Joe, or are there a specific order of certain fields that need to be so they can continue their mapping? Is that what you're saying?
I think, yeah. So we'll send you a copy of what we had in the past. It just needs to be in that same order. If we can do it in that same order.
And then the
we'll
mapping doesn't have to change. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah. If the mapping has to change, it's not an immediate process. They need to remap it and test it out and all that type of stuff. So if we can get it to that same format, it should just be business as usual. That'll help us.
So the mapping is based on the sheet that we currently use now?
Correct.
So I might just have to move some of the columns around. I mean, I have definitely more column fields than you would have in your existing mapping, but if you're going from left to right and you just need to maintain the order of certain fields, and I can definitely accommodate that.
Okay.
Okay. So I think I might have mentioned in the beginning of this that I'm on vacation next week. In fact, it's starting very soon, actually. And Tim is actually, I work with Tim, Dock Control, and he will be around to help facilitate some of this if necessary, so we can take those steps. I don't really see this being a big deal. Again, we only made a couple of modifications here just so that we can get working on the delivery cost and get some feedback through the sheet. But essentially, it's the same thing that we've been doing all along. So even if we move a couple of columns around to get the formatting going, or we have to somehow in addition work on some export of the sheet so that it can fake it into their system until it can get it right. I still see this as being feasible for next week.
Okay.
But let's rip that Band-Aid off.
Okay. We'll
All
send
right.
you a copy of that old sheet if you still need it. And
I have the exports from Julie. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I can just confirm that that's what it's going to wind up being, and then maybe Julie, I can send you an export of our new sheet in that format and see if, I don't know if you have the ability to see if Connexium can read that. I don't know if that's something you can validate.
Yeah, I'll send it out to them and they can either remap it or let me know if there's any issues.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to get that over to you within the next hour, okay? And that way you have time to do it, because going forward, it'll be just if you're having any issues with the sheet, just contact Tim White at Dock Control. So it'd be doc-control@sellymac.com. And Tim, I will give you Julie's email so you can just give her an email. How do you do? So she has your contact info. Okay. Okay.
Yep. We can also include Tony.
Yep. All right. Any other questions before we close it up?
Just one last quick one. When you mark the items on here as done, or whatever that second column was, done, and there was a late one, it removes it from this active sheet. Is there like an archived field that if we needed to go back and look at some old deliveries, would we have access to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can give that to you, Joe. I can give that to you. It'll be just like, how you share the photos with us. If you need it, we'll give it to you. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, it's just a matter of keeping the sheet clean and keeping everybody on the same page. That data just gets, pulled out. So, I mean, you have access to all the current data, so there's no real issue with giving you access to the archive data.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and
Thanks,
gentlemen.
everybody.
And again, I'll send this recording out to everybody when it's done, just so you can have future reference. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll see you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.